PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Megan Best about Time Cut, streaming worldwide on Netflix October 30th. Welcome back to the show. It's so good to see you again.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
You know, we're still in that kind of spooky season kind of topic. We talked about Elevator Game on Shudder. We're talking about the slasher fun Time Cut on Netflix. Same kind of vibe a little bit.
Yeah, it is a similar vibe. I feel like there's like a big resurgence of horror movies lately, which is
Absolutely.
awesome.
And I kind of want to know because, you know, you shot this 3 years ago, but like, what was the audition process like? Did you audition for the character you got specifically in Time Cut?
Yeah, so I play Emmy and I auditioned for Emmy and it was a little bit different 3 years ago because it was the right in the middle of COVID. And it was one of my first auditions in COVID. And it was fun. It was kind of funny because when I went in to do the audition, I'd gotten it that day, and I went in to work with my coach to work on a different one, and he was like, "Let's just bang it out right now." And usually, I need a lot more preparation to feel ready, but when I read it, I just kind of felt really connected to the material, and I felt like I just really understood what it needed.
Yep.
And so I think in a weird way, having just like that instinctual preparation, like that, just going off of my instincts, kind of ended up working.
What do you like in the script about Emmy, and how does that kind of translate towards kind of like reading it and then actually going and filming it? Like, what's that like for you? Is there something you like about this character the most when you're reading it?
Yeah, I really liked the fact that she doesn't actually talk a lot in the movie at all. If you see it, she's quite quiet, but
Yeah.
I actually really love like scenes that have absolutely no dialogue at all. I feel
Mhm.
like for me, that's just where I feel like the most comfortable because you get to kind of find a different way of communicating that just feels like you can really ground yourself in the moment that you're in, and it's just really about feeling as present as possible. And um, she's this like quiet observer, and I just liked the challenge of having to kind of move the story forward without having a lot of dialogue.
And you had an amazing cast for this. So I was just wondering, what was it like kind of working with everyone? What was it like working with Antonia, like, you know, Madison? What was that like specifically for you working with everyone?
Yeah, it was really cool. I remember like during COVID, that's when Outer Banks and Ginny and Georgia really set off, and I
Yeah.
were watching them with my friends through Netflix party and loving the shows, and working with them was wonderful. They're both so um, connected in scenes, which is such a gift. And they're just lovely girls, lovely people, and very talented too. So
Absolutely. I feel like it's interesting too, right? Just kind of like filming a horror film, like a slasher film, because it's kind of like you kind of are in the zone. But like, were there ever moments where it was like a bit like freaky, like be like, wow, like we're making like a slasher film, or like does that kind of happen a little bit after you wrap?
yeah, like do you mean like freaky in terms of like you kind of feel scared, or
Yes.
no, totally. I joke with my friends all the time, because we've done a few horror movies. But what if, what if this was some sort of gag and this wasn't like this was like a prank, but not actually like what if this is like, yeah, we're gonna cast you in a horror movie, but just kidding, we're actually gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have those like intrusive thoughts that pop into my
Yeah,
head.
not your first horror movie. Shout out to Elevator Game. Shout out to the Elevator Game squad
Yeah,
because I literally interviewed all of you on
yeah,
Popternative, which is amazing. I got the whole cast.
I know, yeah. It's awesome. And they're so fun to talk to.
Great
Everyone's
people. So
great
good.
person. Yeah.
Love Gino, Alec,
I know.
Verity, Madison, Liam. So good.
Yeah.
I think that's everyone. I think I named everyone. Um,
Sorry. I'm sorry.
yeah, I've interviewed him too. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with that movie, and those interviews were a lot of fun. I kind of want to know because you know so much happens before you go to script on something like Time Cut, right? Like you're figuring everything out. So like from an acting storyteller perspective, Megan, you can see it's two journeys, right? Before filming something and after filming something, or do you feel like it's one big journey with multiple steps? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's a blend of both.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of feel like I never fully closed the chapter on Time Cut because it's been 3 years since we filmed it, and you're kind of always just bracing yourself to wait and see if there's any new developments on it. I mean, I think they even did reshoots, if I'm not mistaken. So I feel like you can't fully close that chapter, and so it feels kind of just like small baby steps. And filming a movie, typically, unless you're doing something made for TV, it's usually a pretty long process.
Yeah.
But then I also do feel like it's two different journeys as well, because I feel like even for myself, I'm a totally different person than I was 3 years ago, or not totally different, but just more evolved. And when I think back to the choices that I made, you know, in that movie and in that character, and it's weird. Like I feel like I would approach it so differently now, just having more experience. But you can't think that way. So.
Oh, absolutely. It's interesting too, because you said in the top of the interview, like there's been a big kind of like resurgence and popularity of horror films. And I'm just wondering, they've always been around. It's spooky season. I love it. I'm going to a haunted house tomorrow. And like, I'm just wondering, like, what's it like being part of like a horror movie at a time where there's a real big kind of appetite for that content? Like, what's that like for you?
I think it's really cool. I mean, I was just thinking about it recently. Like, if I went to a concert recently, I went to the Bleachers concert at Madison Square, which was so cool. And I remember just being there, thinking that every single person here, like, no one knows each other, but we're all collectively having this like bonding experience where everyone's singing together and just enjoying it. And I think it's the same when you go to a movie. Particularly, I think movies like slashers and horrors that are so elevated, where
Yep.
your adrenaline's up here. I think it just bonds people in a weird way. Like you could be sitting next to someone and crying your eyes out or screaming, and you don't know each other, but you just feel this like bond.
Yep.
And I think that's just really cool and special to be able to say I've been a part of something like that that contributes to art in that way.
Yeah. Did you see Smile 2 yet? Because that literally was like a horror movie about like a concert.
Really? I have not seen it yet. I have not.
Because it's just
I
funny how
haven't.
you started that whole thing about like, I went to a concert recently and I'm like, literally it's about like a pop star. And like, it's so, yeah, it's terrifying.
That was the first thing that came to mind, just because I remember it being like so cool and just
Yeah,
being like
no, totally. I
everyone
just
was
find it
so
funny because there literally is
yeah.
like the biggest horror movie, one of the biggest horror movies out there is literally about like the pop
Uh-huh.
star life. And like, I think it's pretty funny that you said that.
Did you like it?
Loved it. It was
Okay.
awesome. I got to speak to Naomi Scott when I was in LA at the press
Really?
junket, which was really cool. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I will
Yeah.
watch that. That's
Yeah, because I was
awesome.
in LA for my premiere for my film Adjoining.
Oh, amazing. I've been seeing clips of, or
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. I think I sent it to you. I think, or I'll have to send it to you to check it out. But it's a horror film.
I'm so bad with my DMs and my texts, by the way. So I think maybe you did send it to me. I'm so
There's a
sorry.
chance I didn't. I don't know. Like, I'll have to
Yeah,
check.
maybe. If you ask any of my friends, I'm the worst at responding with my phone. I'm so
All
sorry.
good.
But
Well,
that's awesome.
yeah, you'll watch it eventually. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
But last question too. I mean, whether you've been on a set one time or thousands of times, there's always going to be learning experiences that you could take for like future projects. So I'm just wondering on Time Cut, what were some learning experiences you could share that you'll be able that Megan Best will be able to take for future projects specifically?
Yeah. I think like honestly, the learning experiences that I got from Time Cut are the same ones that I get on every set I go to.
Mm.
Because I feel like with acting, it's the simplest thing in the world and like the most complicated thing in the world. Just being present and listening and being so involved with someone other or something other than yourself.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's really hard when you're like, for example, I think Time Cut was the first kind of bigger job I got on a bigger movie. And so I think naturally I felt, a bit of pressure to, really bring out the best performance I could. But just like learning how to be grounded and just to stay there and know that you've got a job to do and you were hired to do this job, and just being really connected. I mean, as I said earlier, like Antonia and Madison are so connected, and working with actors that are just really, really good. I think that brings that out of you naturally. Like you can't help but just be so involved in the story.
Absolutely, that's so well said. And Time Cut's going to be on Netflix worldwide October 30th. So that's crazy. I'm so happy for you and the cast. Megan, so great catching up with you. Thanks so much for coming back on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I enjoyed this so much.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, you're Megan. It's Megan. What's your Instagram account? If people could give a name and everything.
It's Megan Best, but there's an extra T on the end.
Well, it is Megan Best, so it makes sense. It's Megan Best, right?
Yeah. It's yeah.
Awesome. Well, this has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. So next time this is Megan Best. You can catch in Time Cut, streaming worldwide on Netflix October 30th, and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.